I genuinely thought I was doing everything right for my acne, but my skin just wasn't improving. And looking back now, I can see exactly where I was going wrong. Some of these mistakes I was making for years without realizing, and they were actually making my acne worse. I had a routine, I was consistent, I was using products that were meant to help my acne, and my skin still looked textured, and I was still breaking out. So here's what I was doing wrong. At the beginning, I just assumed my acne was teenager acne, and I didn't really think too much of it. I was also told to stay away from chemicals because they would damage my skin. So I ended up putting things like milk, turmeric, honey, aloe vera all over my face, thinking that would be enough. Right? Wrong. Because I wasn't actually using anything that could properly treat my acne. Those ingredients might help in some cases, but the way that I was using them, they just were not going to do any good. I was also using a cleanser that made my skin feel really tight and dry. And I thought that meant it was working. And I wasn't using a moisturizer either, because I had oily skin and I thought a moisturizer would just make my skin even more oily. But what I didn't realize is that I was actually stripping my skin barrier. And the lack of moisturizer meant my skin actually produced more oils to compensate, which in turn worsened my acne. At one point, I was actually really consistent with my skincare. I was using a basic face wash for acne, a moisturizer, a drugstore spot treatment, but it still wasn't enough. And that was really frustrating because I was being consistent, I was doing the things that I thought I was supposed to be doing, and I wasn't seeing any results. And that was frustrating because I genuinely couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong at that point. But looking back on it, consistency wasn't the problem. It's just that the products I was using were not strong enough to actually treat my acne. I wasn't using the right treatments for my skin, and I probably needed proper help at that point. And I think the biggest thing that I didn't do soon enough was to seek proper help from a healthcare provider. Because over time, my acne changed. It worsened, it became more cystic, more inflamed, there were larger bumps, they were more painful. And my usual routine just wasn't enough anymore. And unfortunately, this wasn't something I realized until I was properly breaking out. But when I finally got treatment, that was when my skin actually started to improve. But even after that, I still wasn't getting everything right. So another mistake I made was thinking I could handle stronger treatments. So at this point, I was using the right actives, but I became a bit too obsessed with my skin. And I was seeing all of these new ingredients online, things that I hadn't tried. And I was like, yeah, I could handle that. And honestly, I did this a few months ago, I'm not gonna lie. So I essentially introduced too many new ingredients, and they were actually strong exfoliating ingredients. I really thought I could make that work. In my head, I was like, I'll just add more hydration. It'll be fine. It wasn't fine. It ended up irritating my skin, and as a result, I broke out. So that's when I realized doing more wasn't actually helping me. And even the small things were making a difference, like not cleaning my makeup brushes regularly, which was probably clogging my pores and introducing a lot of new bacteria. Honestly, when I'm lazy, I still fall into this sometimes. Yeah, it's just something you have to really try and keep on track of. But at the same time, not everything was all my faults. Even when I had my routine locked in, I was using the right actives, prescribed treatment, sunscreen, my skin would still break out sometimes. And that's when I realized my acne had a hormonal component to it. I would get the deeper, more painful breakouts around my cycle that would unfortunately last a long time. And that made me realize even when you're doing everything right, you can still break out, and it's not your fault. And looking back now, it's not that I wasn't trying hard enough, because I definitely was trying really hard. I was just doing things without fully understanding my skin. I kept thinking I needed to do more, but ironically, my skin actually started improving when I did less, and I sought proper treatment from a healthcare provider. And I think that can be the most frustrating part, when you're trying really hard to get rid of your acne and it's just not going away. And it's not because you're not doing nothing, because you're missing the right approach. Anyway, those were a few of the mistakes that I was personally making. Feel free to comment below mistakes that you have made unknowingly, and I will see you in the next video. Make sure you like and subscribe if you want to see more. Bye!